to Barely Filtered. We are here today. I have a really interesting guest on. She's actually a witch. So when you guys thought having an astrologer on was like I had lost my mind, now you can be confirmed that I truly have lost my mind. She's a spiritual teacher, witch, and empowerment coach who focuses on reconnecting individuals with ancient wisdom, earth-based spirituality, and personal empowerment. She often discusses topics like magic, healing, self-awareness, and intuitive living. So I'm really into this because, witch, Mitch, like I think a witch is just like, it's just somebody who has a personal inclination towards healing and can heal intuitive, like knows what somebody needs and knows what they need by their intuition when it comes to healing. And I feel like we actually all have that capability. So we all would have just been burned at the stakes if this was like Salem. But I don't know. I feel like that's something that I try to hone in on, is my own personal like intuition on what's going on in my own body. I think we can overthink it. So I don't know. This will be my question for her, because how do we know when we're overthinking things? How do we know when we're jumping to conclusions? How can we differentiate like intuition from just maybe paranoia? Anyway, so we'll be asking her about that. But in the meantime, what is going on with P. Diddy right now? Because I didn't sleep last night because I was on my phone literally trying to crack the code. I was being one of those internet sleuths that, actually the internet sleuths actually are valuable. Didn't you ever see that don't F with cats, and a couple other ones I've been watching lately. Oh, there's one on Netflix called My Daughter. It's this horrible story about this woman who put her daughter up for adoption, and then she never heard from her again. So she like tried to figure out what happened to her, and it turned out that like the family that adopted the daughter was horrible. And well, am I going to give it away? No, I'm not giving it away. They ended up killing her. Anyway, this mom was like cracked the code herself. So I think sometimes we need to take this into our own hands. And that is exactly what I did last night when I started going through all of the data out there on Diddy. And honestly, I have two feelings about this. One is actually, I feel sort of optimistic, and I feel like a restored faith in humanity that these men of power who have been doing whatever the fuck they wanted for the last, 30 years. And I'm talking like the Epsteins, the P. Diddy's, just like all these disgusting men who really thought they were untouchable, that they were too big, they were never going to get caught. And honestly, that was the truth for such a long time. But now I think that, well, I hope that this is I kind of feel like maybe this is a new era of like men in power. You can't just do whatever you want. There's too much. I think even with like AI and like obviously social media, but like you can't really get away with shit the way that you maybe could have back then. Like this man, but he got away with stuff for a very long time. But man, the conspiracy theories out there, like what's up with so many people in his circle just dying from this random ass pneumonia? And now I'm like, can you die from baby oil pneumonia in your lungs? Like, that's what I'm like, did he just like what kind of what was this pneumonia that, so his ex-wife, Kim Porter, and then Brittany Murphy, people are like, okay, she also died from it. And then Kim Porter's husband, like new husband, also died from it, I think. It just feels like there's if he was capable of literally raping men, women, and like minors who are basically children, then I wouldn't put murder past him. Of course not. I'm sure he's connected to murder. And the most okay, so optimistic that now like maybe people who are in power are not able to get away with shit. Think about like remember Bill Cosby? Like we never think about him anymore, but man, he was like the OG creeper. Which actually, I don't know if I told the story on my podcast before, but my mom, he offered to give her a ride once when she was in New York. She was like playing for the in Carnegie Hall. She's a musician, and he did something with the Boston Symphony, and they were in New York, and he like had offered to give her a ride in his limo, and she said no because she was kind of like creeped out by him. But he was like this everybody thought he was like, you know, the like Black Mr. Rogers. Anyway, so now that like these men of power are not able to maybe keep their secret for quite as long, that makes me happy. But also what really disturbs me is the fact that this man had so many friends and was so popular, and there were so many people in his tight circle. People knew what was going on, and they just didn't say anything. Like, nobody was saying anything. I mean, the thing is, he has had allegations against him since like 1998. So people have been saying things, but why was this a popular person? Why did people want to be around him? And people continue to be around him. And I'm not talking about the white parties. Like, I'm talking about these like weird ass sex parties. There were a lot of people that would go to those, and people knew about them. And then like, okay, so I started looking into like what hit, like he's good friends with Ashton Kutcher, and then there's now conspiracy. I don't know if any of this is true, and I am so like innocent until proven guilty. I really believe in that. My other questions are, what is with the giant hot tub full of dildos? I don't understand. Maybe he gave them away as like party favors when you came to his house. Also, the baby oil. First of all, you're not supposed. This is how like nerdy I am, and I'm like, ew, you like penetrate people with baby oil? That's so bad for you. Like, a woman should not have baby oil up her vagina. Maybe that's why these people are dropping dead from pneumonia, because you're like fucking them with baby oil. I don't know. He should have been using like an actual sex lubricant. I have a problem with that. And my other issue is like Aaliyah's death. People think that's related. I don't know, but it needs to be looked into. Aaliyah died in a plane crash, though. But they are saying that like she was carried onto the plane, that she died in the plane crash. But then that would mean that so she was already dead when they put her on the plane. So was it like a suicide mission then? I don't know. That one is a little bit of a stretch to me. But the other one is Tupac. Imagine, you guys, if we actually got information on like what really went down there. And then also Jay-Z's connection with him. Something's going to come out about Jay-Z too. I just feel like you can't run in these circles and be innocent. It's not possible. I watch too much Dateline, but it's always a man, or it's a woman who kills her husband who like kind of probably deserved it. Okay, so obviously I don't really have answers for you guys. I'm just really interested in this story because I think we are on the last few years, especially like 5 years, I feel like we are on a good trajectory of just not letting bad people get away with their shit. Bad, powerful, rich people. Oh, and please, if you have any information to give, leave me a voicemail. You can leave me a voicemail with any and all information, conspiracy theories, whatever you want to talk about this situation, at speakpipe.com/barelyfiltered. But ultimately, I think all of this could have been avoided if we just had a little bit more healing in our life. And if everybody was just a little bit more healed and evolved, then we wouldn't have to deal with all like a hot tub full of dildos and a refrigerator full of baby oil, which is why I have my next guest with us today to talk to us about how can we bring a little bit more healing into our own life? How can we tap into our intuition so that we don't find ourselves at a dinner party with a man who is giving away, you know, dildos at crazy sex parties and like videoing horrible things for blackmail. So I'm excited to bring her on, and I hope you all enjoy learning how to heal ourselves from the inside out so that we can make our world a safer place.
Where are you from?
I'm from Rhode Island. Where are you from?
Oh, cool. Rhode Island. Yeah, tiny so place.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
I'm from Northern California, from Humboldt, from the Redwoods.
Is that where you currently live?
No. I go up there all the time. I'm running a retreat up there next week. It's one of my, it's just.
What kind of retreat are you doing?
It's a deep, wild, feminine embodiment retreat. Okay. Lots of rituals in the forest, lots of nature magic, but all deep healing. Like the lens of my magic and how I support people is healing what's in the way. So if you're like trying to manifest something, it's not about, oh, cool, like do all these affirmations. It's like what belief system is running in your mind that says I'm not worthy of that, or I won't be able to achieve that, or that's not possible for me. And so it's all just healing what's in the way of your sexual liberation, full expression, enjoyment of your life, living your purpose, abundance, whatever it is. So we do lots of, that's like the rage ritual that went viral is part of the larger retreat. It's not just like one thing that we do. It's 1 hour ritual in the larger transformative immersive experience.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to back up because I have lots of questions.
Right?
So I already introduced you, but
okay.
now I'll just let everybody know that the witch has entered the building. She is here and she's everything we expected and more. She's got a feather earring but she is carrying a Balenciaga bag. So I'm like, I don't know. Are you that hippie? We're going to need to figure it out. And maybe you could be both, like actually like immersed in the world, but also still be like a deeply healed person. Could you think that that's possible? Because usually I think when people think of witches, they're like, you need to be an outcast. You need to be like, you can't be part of society and be a witch.
Totally. I love being both. I love bridging the gap. And the word witch just means wise. So all of us have unique wisdom. Every single one of our lived experiences and the lessons that we've learned throughout our existence informs our wisdom and how we live. You're going to have a different childhood experience than I am. That's going to change how you function and inform your behavior. Your trauma responses will be different. Your relationship to the masculine will be different. And so when we live in alignment with our wisdom, what we've learned through our lives, then we're a witch. So I'm not one of those witches that's like sitting in my little hut in the forest, as much as I love a good hut in the forest, I tell you what. But like casting spells, my magic is really about getting the things out of the way for us to live the kind of lives that we want, and then ideally ripple that out into our community and hopefully ultimately to the world. And yeah, I like both. I'm a Taurus rising. My Venus is in Taurus in the first house. I love opulence and luxury. I'm a Gemini. I like both things. I'm deeply, wildly hippie, Northern California parents, were conscious entrepreneurs. And then I lived in New York City for a long time and studied business in college and did the whole thing. And so I like both.
Yeah.
My deep devotion is to nature, but I love luxury and opulence. And the retreats that we were just talking about are a perfect example of that. We do one in Europe in a castle that's like full fairy tale experience. And then we do one rustic in the redwoods, my home place, and get to just dive deep with nature. So, you got to have both. Life's all about balance.
I totally agree. And I don't think you need to pick a lane either. So, okay, I don't know why I'm so many. I'm like, where can we start here?
This is great. Let's do it.
So I actually am going to be trying ketamine for the first time, and I'm doing like a ketamine therapy with a doctor and a therapist in a couple weeks. And it's kind of like my introduction to plant medicine, because I realized like that I think there are traumas in my life that have kind of gotten in. I think after you've done a certain amount of work, sometimes like you've done a lot of therapy, done like my people know all the things like the Hoffman Institute. And like I've done a lot of therapies, but I feel like sometimes there's just like, you're still kind of like, you've forgiven people and you've gotten over your stuff, but like, it's like in your body and you're still operating the same way and you're kind of stuck. Do you find that people get stuck after even doing years of therapy and they still like there's something in nature that can heal you beyond what people can? I'm going to let you take over.
100%. Nature can absolutely heal you. Spending time out in nature is how our species evolved for hundreds of thousands of years, how all species on Earth evolved, just like being in and one with nature. And so our disconnection from that is a huge part of autoimmune disease, over stress response, mental health challenges. And that's why when you go like forest bathing and grounding and earthing and all of these practices that basically just mean hanging out in nature quietly, regulate your nervous system and lower your cortisol and your heart rate and your blood pressure. And they're so good for you. Now, ketamine is a chemical substance. It's not technically a plant medicine, but because it's disassociating you from your physical body where all of those memories and traumas are stored, you can sort of like get out and have a bird's eye view of your challenges. I think I was super judgy of ketamine. I'm like, I don't put things in my nose. I'm just not available for that.
I won't be snorting the ketamine. Exactly. It's a shot.
No. Yeah. So you do the IM. Yeah. I've never done that. My first experiences with it were with the same deal, blindfold, headphones, laying down, and mine were lozenges, but I had really beautiful experiences with it. And I had been so judgy. I'm like, why would you want to disassociate from your body at a party? I don't understand.
Yeah.
and then I did the same deal. I did an 8-session therapeutic
you did
experience.
8?
Yeah. And it was really powerful. It was really, really beautiful. And I enjoyed it a lot. And I think that the invitation with any medicine is to look at, where am I stuck? Where are these patterns looping? But a metaphor that I really love is like, the mountain, the spiritual path, our life, it's a mountain. Now, everybody's going to get up the mountain a different way, because eagles are going to fly and snakes are going to slither and mountain goats are going to scale up the cliffs and mountain lions are going to be able to like jump these huge, massive leaps. And then some people are going to bushwhack with a machete, and some people are going to just take the little trail, and just mosey their way on up,
Yeah.
And fish are going to stay in the lake at the bottom anyways. They're
Yeah.
never going to climb up there. So there's never one right way to get up the mountain. And that's why I love just encouraging people to find their own path to divinity, their own path to healing. It's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
And also when you're climbing a mountain, the slowest way is to kind of like zigzag back and forth, or most efficient, the easiest way is to like spiral up. So if you start here at the bottom of the mountain and you go around and then you reach this next point, you're like, oh, the view looks kind of the same from here. I've seen this pattern before.
Yeah.
I've come up against this relational dynamic or this wound before. But as you keep going around the mountain, even though it appears that you return to this same place or this same pattern, you keep having greater perspective. The view is a little clearer. You've been able to zoom out more in order to see better really what's happening and why.
I love that.
And so, yeah, I think that therapy, I think, is great and it's amazing. I love my therapist, but what I intend to do with my work is give someone what they get in 10 years of therapy in like either 3 months or 1 week, and really eradicate the things that have been holding us back or keeping us stuck.
Okay. Well, how do you do that?
You work somatically, so you work with the body.
Okay.
So everything I do is really deeply involved and integrated with the body, either talking to parts of the body where disease or pain is being held, because if there's pain in our body, whether it's our right hip or our wrist or our teeth, there's something happening there. There's some energy occurring there, and we get to look at that pain and you can talk to it. Your body will respond. It will communicate. Our bodies are so much more sentient and alive as an entity than we treat them.
Right.
And then really like full permission to go for it. So that's why the rage ritual is such a powerful ritual, because some of us have never said the words that we needed to say when someone hurt or harmed or abused us. Some of us have never actually even felt those emotions.
Yeah.
We shut them down. We suppress them. We say, no, they're not allowed to be here. Some of us have just never felt safe to be less than perfect in front of other people. There's like so many different layers. And
Right.
so I really try to work with the full spectrum of emotions and give them safety, because a lot of the times as kids, we just weren't safe in our emotions. If you have a depressed parent and you're too happy and your happiness triggers them, then it's like you're not allowed to be happy. And if you have one of those parents that's just like very even keeled and you get a little too sad and they punish you for getting sad, or you have a really disciplinary parent and you get angry and try to stand up for yourself and they discipline you for getting angry, a lot of us just never experienced what it's like to feel safe in our emotions. And so that's my intention, is to really just rewrite all of those narratives that we've established in our mind from childhood. Oh, I'm not safe to be X, Y, or Z, whether it's big and powerful and happy or sexual or beautiful or intelligent or whatever it is, and really give us permission to be all of who we are.
Yeah.
Which is what all of us want anyway.
Right. Yeah. That does remind me a little bit of something that we did at Hoffman too. That was like, yeah, they do like, we like basically beat the shit out of a pillow. Yeah. And like, but like, and you're like screaming to like your parents. The funny thing is I had just had my boobs fixed right before that. So like I couldn't like really hit the pillow. So they had me like shred paper, which was like kind of satisfying in a different way. But
no, you need another round.
Yeah. Maybe that's why. Cause like, I feel like, I don't know, when I got out of that, I didn't feel like a new person. I guess I'm always, maybe my expectations are too high. But that's why I'm excited to try plant medicine, because I feel like there's certain things that are kind of blocking my happiness.
Like what?
Like, I don't know what they are. That's the thing. I'm always trying to figure out, is it my hormones? Is it my gut health? Is it my past trauma? Is it my, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm not like I'm not a depressed person I'm not a depressed person, but I'm not like, I want to feel like joy, like bliss. I want every day. I just feel like there's more.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I don't have it. And I'm seeking for it. And I'm also a Sag rising, so that's probably why I'm always seeking.
For sure. Well, you were about to say that were you about to say that you're not a crier?
Oh, no, I was going to say like I'm not a chronically depressed person. I'll cry. I mean,
because crying is one of the only ways that our body actually excretes cortisol, the stress hormone.
Yeah.
It's like it only comes out through our eyeballs and through our tear ducts. Okay, good. Because crying's really good for you.
But I don't cry like that much.
Well, crying could be a way to experience more joy. Because when you look at through the lens of like the elements in our bodies, so like the earth is our bones and muscles, like the clay, it's like the stones in the mountains, and then the water is the tears and the sweat and the blood, and then the breath is the wind and the air inside of us that we exchange with the trees, and then the fire is our electric energy, it's our power, it's what makes our brains and our hearts function. So we're made of these elements, and water is the element of our emotions, right? We have our tears. And so if we're like blocking the dam of our emotions, whether that's joy or sadness, we like damage what comes after that, right? It's like putting up a dam. You kill the whole riparian zone that comes after it. So if you're wanting to access more joy, sometimes freeing and releasing whatever's in the way, like sadness or even the frustration of why can't I feel more joy? It's like, well, if I let myself feel that frustration all the way, then that narrative is complete and I have a clearer pathway to my joy from there.
Yeah. I think it's hard because you don't want to, like in our society, I think you don't want to be a victim and obviously like there's a way to fully feel your emotions and your pain without calling yourself a victim.
Totally.
But I don't know. I just feel like our society doesn't really give us permission to grieve that much, and also like there's not really time for it, at least in my life. Like I have 2 little kids and I'm divorced, and so it's just like there's really no time for all that. But like I'm dedicated to the healing process, and so it's kind of like something that I am interested in finding out more about. But I haven't been blown away. And like, I feel like in this space particularly, there's so many coaches and there's so many, and I just feel like, honestly, I feel like I've been scammed a bunch. And so there's a little bit of mistrust there also, because a lot of these experiences are super expensive. Like, I mean, Hoffman was like $7,000. I'm like, why don't I feel like a new woman? I don't know.
What were you hoping to experience that you feel like you didn't? Like, what were you hoping to see or to excavate that you didn't access while you were there?
I think I wanted to be more clear about what it is that I want in, like, what kind of relationship I might want to attract, or what, I guess I thought it would make my life feel easier and happier and smoother, and it didn't. Actually, I was dating this guy during that time who ended up being a complete con artist. He had like a family, and it was horrible. And it was like everything came to the surface right after Hoffman about that. So I guess maybe that was distracting. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't feel like
Well, there's a part of that actually, what a blessing that came to the surface rather than you continuing to, especially with kids, like,
for sure,
to get deeper into it. So like you could reframe that and look at, I went to Hoffman and did this work, like hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. You made a hard choice and went and took this whole week away from your family and spent the $7,000 and like did the work that isn't comfortable. It isn't what society is teaching us to do.
No.
It's hard. The spiritual growth work, the healing work is literally the hardest choice any human can ever make, but it's the most worth it.
Yeah.
So like you made the hard choice, you went and did it. And actually by looking at those childhood wounds and some of those traumas, instead of continuing to dive deeper with someone who had obviously no capacity to hold you, be a father to your children, or like play that role, that dematerialized from your reality and left.
Yeah.
So yes, I understand obviously like the emotional impact is distracting for sure.
Yeah.
But also like maybe it cleared that out for you.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think you know, like when like you don't notice a change day to day, but then like a year later you look back and you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And actually maybe I have made progress, but I just don't see it in the moment, because now it's like I don't think I would never date somebody like that. And and it's only been like, 6 months. But I don't know. It's
is
hard
the joy
to know.
the piece? Like I want to experience a baseline level of joy. That's like the main intention that you have.
Yeah. Like I think for as long as I can remember, and I think it was probably from when I was like 8. I love how this turned into a therapy session, but I feel like this will help people.
I'm like, I love this shit. I'm like, let's go. Like I got so much more. I'm like, close your eyes and let's go all the way into it. Yeah.
I just feel like there's been well, I'm a Pisces moon. People are probably like, shut the F up. I'm a Pisces moon. I feel like I'm a little emo, and like but yeah, like there's just been like a little like, I don't know. Not even when I was like at my most happy, I always felt like, oh, I feel like I could, like one's like the other shoe's gonna drop. I think I don't allow myself to be happy because I'm like, I have to be vigilant.
Okay, so that's the answer.
Yeah.
So my 2 questions from that were like, one is, did you ever see anyone role model having a true and authentic baseline of joy in your life? Did you ever know someone where you were like, wow, that person's got their shit together, they're happy, it's not fake happiness, it's real happiness, and you witnessed that, like this desire that you have for that? Have you ever actually seen that role modeled?
No, definitely not.
Cool. So that's interesting. And then the second question I have is like the other shoe dropping thing. Was that something that you experienced in childhood? Was like when you would have a win or something good happen, then like something would come crashing down, or you would get punished, or like was there always or do you remember even one particular shoe dropping or the other shoe dropping kind of moment when you were a little kid?
I can't pinpoint one. Yeah, I can't pinpoint one, but I do feel like, if anything really good happens, there's always a worry of like, how is it going to be taken away, or something's going to be ruined about it, or something like that, Oh
my God, I'm like, can you close your eyes for 1 minute?
Okay. We're going to be taking a little intermission, guys. I'm closing my eyes.
No, you're going to listen. You're going to hear. This is the real deal. This is how the magic happens. So when you feel that, I want you to just imagine an experience of joy, like something good happened. Then you're celebrating. It's like, oh, it's so beautiful. You have this smile on your face. You feel that fleeting moment of joy. And then instantaneously there's that like, oh God, what if it gets taken away? What if it all falls apart? What if I don't deserve this? And that part, where do you feel that part in your body?
Probably like the pit of my stomach.
Yeah. So if you go into the pit of your stomach and just tune in with that fear, right? Or what is the frequency of it? Does it feel like fear? Does it feel like worry? What does it feel like, that energy?
Probably like uneasiness, anxiety.
Yeah. And does it have a shape or a color or a texture? Does it look like anything when you place your attention on it? Can you see it at all?
I don't know why I'm saying orange, but I'm going to go with orange.
Yeah, great. So that orange energy that you see, does it have a texture? Like when it shows up orange, is it prickly or spiky, or does it have like any kind of viscosity? Like if you touched it, what would it feel like? Can you notice any of that? Or is it just the color?
I think it's hard. Like
yeah. Good. So if you tune in with this just hard orange energy and just place your attention on it the way that you would on one of your children who needs something. Can you just ask it, what do you need? What do you need? What are you here for? What do you need?
I think it needs to get out. I think it needs to come up. And I can almost feel it like coming through my breath.
Good. So take a deep, long breath down into that and release a big sigh. Just and instead of like what you think, so you said, I think it needs, I want you to ask it again. What do you need? And let it tell you.
I think it needs patience.
Okay. So right now, I want you, as the beautiful mama and woman and goddess and queen that you are, I want you to just see yourself dropping into that lower pit of your stomach and just sitting beside this hard orange energy and just being there with it and letting it know, I understand why you're here. I know you're just trying to keep me safe. That's what that vigilance is. You're just trying to keep me safe. You don't want me to trust in all the good things in case something bad happens, but I want to trust in the good things. I want to trust in the beauty of life. I want to trust in my ability to experience joy. So I know you're here, and now you know that I'm here with you. And I know you need me to be patient, and I strive to do that with myself and my kids every day. So I want you to know that I'm going to try and be really patient with you too. But I want you to feel safe, and I want you to give me back the reins. I can take care of us. I'm in charge here. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to get anxious when good things are happening. And I know this is going to take some time, but this is the beginning of the conversation where I want you to feel safe so that when good things happen, we can enjoy them. We can be in the joy of the good things happening.
I love it. It's helpful.
Yeah.
It almost feels like praying in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's like a conversation that you're having. Like your higher self is having a conversation with the parts of you that are a little bit more like reptilian, you know,
and they're literally, it's just your inner child.
Yeah.
Something, you're like, I can't pinpoint it, but some moment occurred when you were young where you were feeling joy and something happened, and that little part of you is just frozen
right
from that moment and is worried about when good things happen, the shoe dropping. And so the opportunity is, and that's what Hoffman's for, right? Is to like deal with your inner child wounds.
Right.
So the invitation is like, okay, if I want to let that experience have changed me, then what can I do on a daily or, you know, moment to moment basis where when I feel some old trauma response like that come up, okay, something good is happening. There's anxiety here. It's like, okay, what do you need? Little tiny, beautiful baby Aurora. What do you need? What do you need? And it's the same as what you would do for your children.
Right.
Right? Because there's a little child living inside of all of us. We think that we're like grown-ups. Like, no, we're all just wounded children walking around in adult bodies.
That's how I felt after I left Hoffman. That was one of the things that I think I did get away from it. It was like, you just kind of look at everybody like, oh, who hurt you?
Literally. Yeah. Who hurt you? Because it was like, somebody.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so I'm hearing that part of being a witch is healing, in like old trauma, inner child wounds.
That's my magic. Yeah. My magic is healing magic.
Okay.
I'm a healer. There's a lot of different types of magic. You know, I'm a healer who has I'm blessed to have a gift of gab and speaking. You know, I love talking to people and I'm easy on camera and all of those things. Those are like gifts, but my magic is healing magic. Yeah. So I think we all create an amalgamation of what it means to live in our gifts, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I'm like a sharing witch.
Cool.
I that's my gift. I like to share things.
It's like Share Bear, you know? It's like how all the Care Bears have their gifts, like that.
Or sharing my experiences and
cool.
Yeah, so Is there another part of us that needs to be, or that, is there another part of us that you heal in your work that's not just like trauma from our childhood? Or is that like where it all comes from? Is it from past lives?
Totally. I mean, you know, some people don't believe in that, but I mean, I think absolutely. And I think that that's the origin of a lot of, you know, you go back and back and back to the original wound. Oh, I always date abusive men, or oh, I'm always broke, or whatever it is. You can usually trace that back to something from childhood. But then a lot of what I love to do is liberation of our goddess, king, queen, divine energy. And so that's why I work a lot with pleasure. And even though, of course, some people had really horrible experiences in childhood with abuse or molestation, and some people, just started masturbating really early and got in touch with their pleasure at like 3 or 5, and it just was like, woo, something that felt great for them from there on out. But yeah, no, I work a lot with our adult behaviors because they're all informed by those things anyways. So yes, you can start with the inner child wounds, and there will always be beautiful opportunities to work there. But then there's so much we can do, as an adult and as a grown up, and just dealing with what's in front of us right now also.
And so most of the healing work that you're doing is through somatic, like visualization exercises?
Mm-hmm. Like that, and then embodiment, like getting into the body, dancing, moving, like, moving the energy. Again, lots of pleasure. Like we do this epic sex magic ritual at my retreats, which is like a group pleasure circle underneath a canopy of trees. It's absolutely outstanding.
It's called sex magic?
It's called sex magic. So it's using your sexual energy for manifestation.
Oh, that sounds kind of fun. Are there like orgasms involved? Really?
Lots.
And so are people just like, are you guys like under some trees masturbating with each other pretty much?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds like something maybe, I don't know. I'd like to go just witness it for a moment first.
No, you gotta do it. Everyone face it. You put your head in the center and everyone faces out. So everyone has their own space. Is this all women or
men too?
All women.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the funniest part. And I experienced it myself too. The first time I ever did it with a group of like Tantrika sisters, I was like, are you guys fucking serious? Like, we are not about to do this. And they were like, oh, yes, we are. And then we did it and it was so normal. It didn't feel weird. It's like, sex is literally how we all get here. And hopefully with orgasms included.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't watch porn, but it has become that the only time you hear it is like, oh, your parents or like a roommate in college or porn, and you feel this sort of guilt or shame about even hearing or listening to it. And in that circle, somebody starts to come and you're like, yeah, go girl, and then there's this cacophony of orgasms and it's so amazing. And then there's always someone who like goes last and, she's been like waiting and building and then she gets there and then, like people are cheering or laughing or everyone's laughing together. And the most common response that I get afterwards that was the same as I felt was, oh my God, that just felt so natural to do that together. And no one's touching each other. It's not an orgy. It's not like a group sex experience.
Yeah.
It's a very individualized relationship to your own pleasure, but being in a space where your pleasure is celebrated, your pleasure is supported, your pleasure is amplified is just like, it's really, really potent. And it's a totally cognitive dissonant experience that ends up being really, really special.
So what in doing that will help you manifest what you want in the world?
How'd you make your babies, girl?
Oh, well, that was sex.
Exactly. So we literally create life with sex. So using our sexual energy is our creative energy. So when this particular practice, there's a lot of different ways to do sex magic, but this particular practice is a breath. You're like, even that, you're like, I want to use my breath. So the breath is such a powerful way to reach those psychedelic states without needing any medicine. So we use the breath. You work up through the chakras from the root and the earth to the water and the womb and the solar plexus and the fire and the heart and the breath and the air up into the throat and the sound and the vibration and then into the third eye and the vision and the imagination and up into the crown. And when you reach the crown, you send your manifestation out into the universe, ideally with your orgasm or your peak pleasure state. And you're just like, it's the way that, to me, when we call the way that the universe got here, like the Big Bang, it sounds like a big orgasm. Like the universe is just coming and then here we are, It's how life is created. And you're, when you look at the studies, you're so much more likely to make a baby if you have an orgasm.
Really?
Yeah. Way, like something like 80 times more likely.
How funny.
Yeah. So it's just a really great way to utilize your most powerful energy and your desires. I mean, that's how I got my book deal. Like me and all my friends, we were all just like circled up. It's like, okay, this girl wants to get on Oprah. This girl wants a book deal. Like this girl wants.
Let's all masturbate to it.
Exactly. Yeah. We do it for each other's birthdays and stuff. It's amazing.
Everybody's like, the only advice I've ever gotten for manifestation is like, write your manifestation, like imagine it, journal it, never like masturbate to it.
Yeah. The first way is boring. The second way is much better.
Yeah. I don't know. Your way does sound like a lot more fun.
It totally works. I'm telling you. I have manifested so many things using sex magic.
And so it could be anything that you're trying to manifest.
Totally.
Yeah, it's just a creative
Absolutely.
force.
100%.
That is
home, new job, motivation to get to the gym, like whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. You heard it here, folks. Okay. Okay. So we're manifesting with orgasms.
Yep.
We are healing our inner child with somatic work.
And nature. Yeah.
Okay. So does that mean that you can heal yourself by like exercising because you're using your body to like get things out? Or...
Yeah, I think totally in some ways, if that's the intention that you're using it with. And if you're in a gym where like, if you need to scream, you can scream.
Oh, okay.
You know, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what you said, like the societal, there's not space for us. So, you know, if you start screaming during your workout, maybe someone's going to think that you're crazy, right? And so then their projection onto you is going to make you be like, oh my God, am I crazy? Or, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. So it's really more about having freedom and permission.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that means like, oh, I'm going to run somewhere where I'm not going to see anybody and I want to hug a tree and cry and scream while I'm running or start doing like weird dance moves or swinging my arms or whatever it is, then great. But the problem is that we just haven't been trained to go full out and to be fully expressed. And so then we hold back, whether it's emotionally or energetically, and then we're not able to do that healing that we need.
So I feel like with yoga, I've been able to do a lot of healing, just like through the breath work. And like, it's much more acceptable in a yoga class to be like, than like if you're in like, you know, a Pilates class, if you do that, people will be like, get it together.
Yeah.
But I do feel kind of like it's at a certain point, certain modalities of healing kind of like max out or they like baseline, plateau. When you say nature, do you feel like plant medicine can take it to another level or do you not work with plant medicine?
I mean, I've tried them all. And
what did you think of ayahuasca? I'm afraid to do it.
It can be scary, but it's really beautiful. You know, they call it the grandmother for a reason. Some grandmas are a little spicy and sassy and they're going to tell you the truth whether you like it or not, and some grandmas are like just going to feed you ice cream, you know. So I think that I've had a lot of really beautiful experiences with ayahuasca. It's not my personal medicine. I don't feel like a deep call to sit with it often, and my intention after having done like, you know, pretty much all of them.
What are the other ones?
Like peyote and mushrooms and Wachuma San Pedro is another cactus. Then there's like not just the plants but the frogs, you know. Then there's the 5-MeO
eating the frogs.
DMT. It's the frog poison. It's like the venom. So you can smoke the toad venom, which is DMT, which is the same entheogenic or psychoactive substance that's in ayahuasca in a much more concentrated form. And then there's another frog medicine called combo that they like burn onto your skin, and that's more of a purgative. It's like a natural antibiotic. So that's more of a, warriors used to take it before they went out hunting. So like I've tried all the things, but what I want to do with my work, because I've just seen too many times, one, a lot of times with plant medicine, that's why the ketamine is great because it's consistent. It's like 8 sessions, but a lot of times there's no integration. No one's calling you and checking up on you, and you've just had this mind-blowing experience, and like it's like, cool, enjoy your life. Go back to
you can revert back. Is
completely. And I just don't think that that's supportive. And then also simultaneously, you know, you sometimes you have these massive epiphanies, these like world-shattering, life-changing realizations, and then you go back to your life or you try to tell someone about it and they're like, what are you talking about? Or you can just talk yourself out of it and be like, oh, I was high. I was on drugs. Oh, I was out of my mind. Actually, you were in your mind so much more than you are on a normal daily basis. But those particular things just made me, and especially like studying Tantra for as many years as I have now, like over a decade, I have found that, I just got chills thinking about it, you can reach the same psychedelic states and altered levels of consciousness through breath and through somatic work. And some of the rituals that I've done without any plant medicine have been exponentially more powerful, like deep womb breath works and sex magic practices where like I am having deeper, wilder visions than I had on any ayahuasca journey.
Yeah.
And so my intention, that's why I do somatic work and why I focus on the healing that I do, because yes, plant medicine is like an express lane for sure. It is incredibly beautiful. And I want people to have epiphanies and realizations while they're in their conscious mind so that there's no excuse. There's nothing you can justify or like, oh, it was because of this. It's like, no, I experienced that. That became true in my being, and I'm going to do everything I can to keep remembering that. So, you know, and microdosing mushrooms can be really supportive with that, right? Like instead of doing the big hero dose, you can like, oh, I had this epiphany and now I'm going to microdose with psilocybin. So that's going to help me keep wiring my brain towards this new pattern and pathway.
Yeah, that's one of the things that that I've just been reading up with the ketamine too, is like that after you have these experiences, it's almost like it brings your brain back to a default state. So right after it, your brain is super like neuroplastic. So what you're doing right after is so important, because if you're not maintaining or like teaching it new like beneficial pathways, then it won't really be too beneficial.
Yeah,
so
it can revert back.
It can revert. Yeah. So okay, that's interesting to know, because I haven't done any. I mean, I've done like mushrooms and stuff, but I don't like to be out of my mind. Like I don't, you know, I'm not one of those people who wants to be like on a trip. I would rather that my drug of choice was always something where I was like more in control and like Adderall. I would take it and study for a test, and that was like more fun to me than tripping out.
Well, that's another piece to look at for you too, is like, what would it take for me to feel safe to release control?
Yeah.
What would it take for me to get out of my mind? And even if that was just like into my body,
right?
You know, like I prefer taking psychedelics alone in a room with a blindfold so that like I can just go all the way in
and not worry about.
Yeah, I don't want to do all the like, but I want to work on my mind. I want to work on the grips and the places where I'm trying to hold on to control, because like we don't have any control. Right. The only thing we can control is our response to things and is our reactions. And so, you know, the plant medicine can really help us see where are we reacting in ways that are informed by our trauma and not actually supporting us reaching those, you know, baseline states of joy.
Interesting. All right. I feel like we got a lot of information. I'm going to be thinking about this conversation for a while. Where can people find you if they're interested in doing one of your retreats?
Everything is Mia Magik, MIA MAGIK. So my YouTube, Instagram, website, everything is Mia Magik. And yeah, it's so fun. And the best thing is going and learning with the ultimate teacher. Like we're talking about plant medicines, and really nature is a plant medicine on her own.
Yeah.
That's all we need. Like trees are so wise. Indigenous civilizations call plants our older brothers and sisters because they evolved for so many millions of years before humans even got here.
Yeah.
And so that's my greatest teacher. And that's what I want to help people remember, is we can return to our true nature through nature.
Oh, it's a real life Pocahontas.
That's right.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Such a fun combo.